Yeah, g'day YouTubers and everyone else. Today I was going to do a little video on assembling the connecting rods onto the crankshaft. I finally got my replacement connecting rod after finding that one was bent. So we might hook in and do that. I did plastic gauge these. I did another video on that and I'll put that in at some stage. What I come up with was these are about 0.0038. And the worst one was 0.050, and the serviceable limit is 0.080, so I'm happy enough to put that back together. The connecting rod that turned up come with a bearing set, and the bearing in it is actually really good. It's as good, if not better, than some of the ones in the other one, so I'm going to use this one. And I'll go ahead and put it together now. So you want to use nice, fresh, clean oil, and oil your bearings in, and also your journal. I don't use assembly compound on these. I've never really liked it for this. I always use oil. Make sure they're nicely lubed up, and I try to always assemble mine back how they come apart. So connecting rod 1 going back on this connecting rod crankshaft journal number 1. So this is the left hand side of the motor. Connecting rod 1's going here. Just lubricate this side of the bearing shell. And the notch, there's like a little notch where your bearing locks into. It faces the exhaust side of the motor, so it's got to come in from this side. So we'll just ensure that's right. Lubricate your threads. And slip your cap on. Now I'm reusing my connecting rod bolts. Some of you won't agree with that. It's a bit of a controversial topic. Yeah, if you feel like you should change them by all means, but I'm not going to. So anyway, I'm just going to nip these up by hand first. I had to actually grind I bought this socket and I had to grind it down to get it to fit in between the end of the connecting rod and the nut. It was a very tight fit. You just want to pull these up nice and even. Now the torque spec for these nuts, yeah, it's like 14.7 to 15.9, I'm pretty sure from memory, and I'm going to do mine up to 15 foot-pounds. So we'll do that now. Just keep doing them up evenly. Don't just yank one side down more than the other. And that is that. And one other thing we got to check is they give you a clearance with a feeler gauge in between the connecting rod and the crankshaft face for side play. So we're going to check that now and see if it's still in spec. That feels really good. There's virtually no play in this direction that I can perceivably feel, and it plastic gauged out fine. So I'll check the clearance with a feeler gauge in here, and then I'll go ahead and put the others on, but they're all exactly the same as that. So just yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah, so guys, the connecting rod side clearance, to measure that we just use feeler gauges, and the spec is 0.12 to 0.27. I'm actually at 0.14. So I'm right on the lower end of that, which is really good. Yeah, so Yeah, 0.14 on that. And they're absolutely perfect. Yep. So there we go. Then we go ahead and we do the other 3 connecting rods and just check them on the way, and you'll be set to go to put the crank back in. Just about finished putting the last of the connecting rods on. So yeah, as you can see, they're all set to go. Yeah, all measure out really well for side clearance and bearing clearance. It was funny though, the second-hand Conrod I bought, the bearing that come with it was actually in just ever so slightly better condition than these here. So there you have it. So yeah, we're ready to put our crankshaft seals on and on either end, and we can sit our crankshaft back into the engine case over there and squeeze the top down with some plastic gauge between the journals here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Squash it down, double check our clearances with our brand new shiny main bearings, which are all installed in there. And once that's done, if they measure up alright, we can, yeah, put it back together. Righto! We cleaned the faces up with acetone, and now we're just going to bolt it together. And she's together. Righto, got the 8. These 8 big long bolts go over your crank. Make sure you got your crank seals on each end in before you drop your crankshaft in. Primary chain camshaft on, elastic down, make sure your cases are clean. You don't want to be messing around when you got your elastic on there. Get it cased together and get them torqued up. Be sure all your seals are in place. And you really got to hope that you haven't left anything out of there once this is down. These are done up to 16, roughly 16 foot-pound. It's like 15 point or 14.9 to 16 point something. We're just going to run with 16. Do them up in a crisscross pattern as per the book, starting in the centre and working the way out. Definitely make sure you oil all your crankshaft journals and your main bearings are in position. There's also one big long bolt that goes down inside the sump. Get him while you're going. Go with 16. Starting in the centre here. Don't crank them all the way down in one hit, just keep nipping them down in a diagonal pattern. Okay, so all the 6mm flange bolts, I'm going to do them up to 10 foot-pound. That's all these in the lower case, so all the ones around here, and the centre one in the sump, and there's 3 at the back. Beautiful. Just try and do them up a bit staggered. Beauty, that's all of those. Apparently these are notoriously easy to strip, the ones along the front, the 6mm ones along the front, so I went to the lower end of the torque spec. Job done. Flip the engine over. I'm just going to throw the 8 and 10mm upper case bolts back in. I just checked, the crankshaft does turn really nicely, so I'm very happy with that. I did bump it with a plastic mallet, 2 taps each end just to centre it. So we'll throw these in, Jeffro. Him in there, one in there, one in here, And the 8mm are in there. Real big long one goes to this corner. And this is the moment when you think to yourself, gee, I hope I've got everything inside that case. I'm running with the standard flanged 6mm bolt torque spec, which is 7.2 to 10.1, so I'm just running with 10. Do them up a bit evenly. We're just going to run the 16. It's 14.5 to 18, and the slightly longer one's supposed to be 16 to 18. So I'm just going to run with 16 all round. Happy days. So what we're going to do now is flip it back over and assemble the cush drive or the primary drive gear through the bottom. And yeah, that should be us for the bottom end pretty much, except for our gear shift mechanism and our points cover and rotor cover on the other side. Alright. Rightio, so we got our case halves back together after a bit of a struggle. Don't ask me how I know, but make sure you put your primary drive, cush drive in on the chain before you try and assemble. Yep, we learnt that the hard way, but everything else went quite well. Don't go mad on this elastic. Try and keep to the outside edge and just put a 1/8 bead all the way around so that it's all tensioned up. We're going to put the gear mechanism back together now. So you got your gear change shaft, should look like that with the spring sitting like that. I lubricated this, slide him through, and the spring should line up with this pin or peg. You hold down on that, slide him through like so, and then we've got our little wheel mechanism. So he goes on there like that, fatter side or the bent side facing out, and this spring hooks onto here. We've got a bolt with a collar on it, little fella, little 6mm bolt, about whatever that is, 20mm long. It goes in like that. It goes in this hole. You just want to start your bolt. You'll need to turn your shift drum around to have the notch roughly in that position. And the little wheel sits in that one, and then the larger wheel actually drops onto the edge of the star gear, between this and the star gear. And we can do that up. You want to make sure your collar sits in the mechanism first. Righto, so it should look like that. And this, you got this arm down here. So we want to put in our bearing retaining collar, your long and a short bolt. The long bolt goes in here. I'll just back that off a little bit. Don't worry about that for now. Okay. Smaller one down the bottom. It's fiddly. Needs to be done up. I'm just going with 7 foot-pound as per the normal hex bolt spec. And we can put our clutch basket drive gear on. You got your little spacer piece, your gear, and your circlip. That's him. So by rotating this shaft here, the clutch basket shaft, you should be able to use, carefully use vice grips on the end of this shaft here. so we can check that it goes through all the gears. So spinning this, we're in neutral. There we go, first gear, neutral, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. My rag's slipping, but yeah, there is a fifth, fourth, third, second, first, and then neutral.